In the 31st of January 2023, James Gunn laid out the new DC slate, introducing us to the first phase of an approximately 10-year plan.
This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now this, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter.
And after listing all the projects expected to be a part of this phase, he went ahead and said this:
Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us.
Fast forward to January 2025, and the first of the Chapter 1 projects, Creature Commandos, is completely out. And, surprise surprise, that statement over a year ago by James Gunn was actually true. Storytelling is king. Now, just to get this out of the way real quick, because it's been said a million times over, and if you haven't heard it before, you're definitely thinking it if you watch this. Yes, this does in fact feel a lot like an animated reskin of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Heck, it actually has characters from James Gunn's Suicide Squad. It even has the nutsack sauce of one of the characters from The Suicide Squad. So, let's just get that out of the way. Yes, it does feel a lot alike, but that's only because this is a continuation of this same story from the same universe. Not to mention that that's the concept of the Suicide Squad from the comics. A team is assembled, go on to a mission, then the team is assembled yet again with different characters and so on and so forth.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
This time, however, the premise is that after the mission from the Suicide Squad, there's a bit of a human rights conundrum, meaning that now they have to actually use characters who they do not consider human.
By using these prisoners, I think we can arguably circumvent our new restrictions.
Enter the Creature Commandos, which, as the name suggests, features characters who lean more towards their monster side than the human. And it is precisely at this point where storytelling starts becoming king. As you see, the description that I just gave skews heavily towards the superficial, whereas the more is unveiled about these characters, the more complex they become. Take for example Weasel, a character who immediately upon their introduction in the Suicide Squad you would never want anywhere near you. Well, it only takes a few short episodes into the first season of Creature Commandos for you to start feeling sorry for this guy and suddenly want him in your life. You know, kinda like those dogs that people adopt from the pound and they have this crazy backstory where they bit like 7 people and now they're here wearing sweaters. Yeah, something like that. But that aside, what I am trying to say is that through the storytelling and through the scripting and structure of both the episodes and the series as a whole, you actually come to empathize with these characters, despite them being actual general assholes.
These assholes aren't human.
Yeah, you can understand where somebody's coming from, but these guys are real villains. Like, they're messed up.
You wanted monsters, you got monsters.
And to get a story where you are actually following multiple very, very fucked up individuals and actually still be invested in every single one of them, episode by episode, that actually takes a hella lot of good writing and some very proper storytelling. And I genuinely believe that the choice to make this a series has actually elevated it far past James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. The structure and runtime of a serialized production actually gave James Gunn more wiggle room to actually delve deeper into the storytelling of his characters as opposed to the restraints given to him by a feature-length film. Ergo, the 5 minutes that we are given to focus on the story of David Dalmancia's Polka Dot Man in The Suicide Squad, for example, is a lot less impactful than the, well, 5 minutes that we are given to focus on Alan Tudyk's Dr. Phosphorus in The Creature Commandos.
It looks like I'm smiling too. But I'm not.
Simply based off the structure of serialized storytelling, seeing as the structure of episode 6 in this case has the sole structure of the A plot on Dr. Phosphorus, whereas the B and C plots can actually focus on other characters and further the story. And that can be said for pretty much every other episode other than the pilot, which is more of an introduction to the entire group. If I'm not mistaken, pretty much every other episode from the second one all the way to the 6th has their plot A focus on one of the major characters. And this has done wonders in endearing these characters to the audience.
General, where did you take this man?
Man?
Yes, man.
I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that's why we have this little thing down here called the comment section where you can let me know what you thought about the series. So, story-wise, this story absolutely rocks. But that's just one component of the whole. Let's talk art. Creature Commandos is actually pretty freaking gorgeous. The character designs are A1, the animation throughout the action scenes is chef's kiss, sound design, especially the soundtrack. Come on, it's a James Gunn show. We all knew that the soundtrack was going to slap. The voice acting is to perfection. Actually, let's just stop there for a sec to give a huge round of applause to the one and only David Harbour.
Once I stop her from making this massive blunder, murdering the princess, an innocent like herself, she will doubtlessly fall into my arms and our heretofore screwball romantic comedy will become pornography. But the tender, soft, focused kind, made for chicks.
That man brought Frankenstein to life. Dr. Frankenstein deserves absolutely zero credit. That lightning bolt that hits the machine, no, that does absolutely nothing. David Harbour is the singular reason why Frankenstein lives. He lives! But no, seriously, every singular voice actor on this project brought their A game. And if the statements made by James Gunn during the announcement of these projects is anything to go by, which this entire video is based off the statement storytelling is king, and he kept his word there, then it would be very, very amazing to see these voice actors reprising their roles into any live action that they might actually get. And just one final thing before we move away from the art. This show brought back having crushes on animated characters. Man, this show is full of baddies! So, Creature Commandos, have you seen it? Well, who am I kidding? Of course you've seen it. What is my rating for it? Well, it is a solid 8.5 out of 10. Yes, despite all my glazing it this much, yes, it still has a few flaws. Somehow the story feels complete, yet it still feels rushed through. I don't know how to explain that bit. And also I just left with this feeling where we could have done a bit more to build the mystique and mystery behind the main antagonist of this show right before we actually went ahead and, ended it all. But all in all, it's an amazing show. For the 5 people left in this world that have not gotten around to watching it, I highly recommend that you do. It is an absolute fantastic show to marvel at. Because it's DC, Marvel, art. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe, and oh yeah, I also remember why I docked an entire 1.5 points out of this entire show. Who in the world ends a series at 7 episodes? Like 8, 10, 13, those make sense. 7?